Welcome back to Wealth Mavericks, the podcast where we help doctors unlock the secrets to building generational wealth. And today, we're talking about trust and moving forward even after you've been burned.
You've got to do some self-analysis and ask yourself, like, was I asking the right questions before? If not, what are the right questions I should be asking now? And am I getting satisfactory answers in return? If yes, move forward confidently.
Life is really about, it is not how many times you get knocked down. It is how many times you get back up. You know what you want. So it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else.
Dang, this is a tough subject. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, I'll just say, just generally speaking, many people have been burned many times in life, and it can be really, really hard to get back on the saddle, when you've been burned with something. But I think, and we're talking about this concept of trust, and trust is such an interesting topic because if you think about the process of trust or building trust, it's kind of a two-way street. In order for someone to be able to earn your trust, you have to give them something to be able to trust. It's like you can't just, it's a two-way street. It's both earned and given. And I think sometimes people are just paralyzed with this fear that I'm going to get burned yet again. And so how do you move forward in the face of that? And I think I think there are elements. One, I think just really just matter of fact, like, are there other people doing, this thing that you're about to do? So if I bring it into our world with Terra Firma, because Aaron, you run into this a lot. How can I trust that what you guys are going to do is something? And what's the saying that you, or what do you say when people say that?
Well, because I do hear it a lot, and I understand the skepticism, and we run into a lot of people who give specific examples of where they have been taken advantage of or promised something and paid a lot of money and got nothing in return. And I, sympathize with them. I say, I'm really sorry that happened. And I can say, like, that's not going to happen with us. But I do reassure them by saying, well, we've been in business for many years. And if we were telling you that one thing was going to happen come tax time, and then it just didn't happen, we wouldn't be in business anymore. So, but I can say that, but again, there has to be a little bit of faith put in first before they see those results come tax time. And it's like, what's going to help them take that step, especially when they have been burned in the past.
I think, so asking yourself that question, if it's a person or if it's a company or whatever, is this person trustworthy? Have they proven themselves to be worthy of trust? And I think one of the things at Terra Firma that we've done that I believe is very helpful is we have made it very easy for people to say yes. We've removed the risk from the potential member. When you engage with our coaching staff and they take you through your cash flow recovery, and they will say something like, if it's appropriate, they're going to say a statement like, based on our conversation today and everything you've shared with me, I believe 100% we can have a positive impact in your world. And I'd like to invite you to be our newest member. Some version of that. That is the scripting. The only way we allow them to say that is if they genuinely believe that. There's no reason for us to bring members in that are not a good fit, because why? They're going to ask for their money back because we have a money back guarantee. So I think it's really important. Like, ask yourself the question, were the people who took advantage of me previously, were they trustworthy people? Was this a trustworthy system? If no, then stop comparing everything to that. And you see this a lot in relationships. Just because your previous girlfriend cheated on you does not mean every woman in your life is going to cheat on you. Was that a trustworthy person? No? Then stop comparing everything to it. Was that previous company that promised the world to you and didn't deliver that? Were they trustworthy? No? Then stop making every decision based on your faulty judgment previously. Ask yourself the question, is this a trustworthy organization? If yes, move forward in confidence. Because that's the other thing that can happen when people fall into this category. They create self-fulfilling prophecies. Oh, they're going to take advantage of me. And then you behave in a certain way that causes something to appear like they took advantage of you. You're the one who caused it. And so I just encourage you, when you're making decisions like this. So what was the question at the beginning? How to move forward in life when you've been taken? Yeah, even after you've been burned. You've got to do some self-analysis and ask yourself, like, was I asking the right questions before? If not, what are the right questions I should be asking now? And am I getting satisfactory answers in return? If yes, move forward confidently.
That's great. And I can tell people all the time, because I work with Bob and I work with you, Joe, and I say, like, these are such genuine humans who just care so much and serve at such a high level. I've never seen it before in my career. But again, are you going to believe me when I say that? But I do love that Bob has spent years putting out so much content that, like, I tell people, like, I get it. You just met us. Go do your due diligence. Go get to know Bob. Watch his videos. Get, the things he talks about and his personality. And if he gives you a good feeling, like, yeah, move forward. And if he doesn't, maybe you're not the right fit for us. But I think there's a lot of times, you rush into a decision, or like you said, you don't know if they're trustworthy. So I think, Bob, you do a great job of giving people the opportunity to get to know you before they, trust you to work together.
Yeah. It's a difficult psychological moment, right? Because it is dealing with pain. But what I have found a lot of times is people don't work on how to solve that pain. They don't work on themselves to not allow that. Like you said earlier, Joe, ask better questions. Are you learning from these decisions to be able to ask better questions? An example for us was that I've spent thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on social media marketing agencies. And Joe, I was adamant, wasn't I? Adamant. I will never do that again.
Right.
Right? Adamant. I mean, my face would get red. It may be getting red now. Adamant, because I spent so much. But then I realized that is not who I am. I'm not a never person. I'm a person who's like, okay, what did we learn and how do we improve that? And that forced all of us, and with your guys' experience and all, forced us to come together and create the right plan because we were asking each other the right questions. Right? And it's important. And there's a lot of tax strategists in our industry that if you've clicked on our link, now you're getting inundated because of Facebook or Instagram with all these tax strategists. A lot of them, and I went through some of these trainings. I've hired some of these people. Part of my learning experience from a financial perspective that I didn't like, but I learned, they'll charge you for a tax plan. And then when you're like, that's awesome, then they'll charge you for the implementation, which some of them don't even tell you there's going to be an implementation charge. Okay, well, then are you going to be doing my taxes? Oh, no, that's a different charge, right? They're a business to design to create transactions to save you and help you resolve that pain of taxes. Same thing with a financial planner. What we've done is ask questions about all these things and said the taxes are the pain point. But we want and desire to help people's situation to improve. We don't want conversations like you mentioned earlier, Aaron, where people say, I was taken advantage of. It didn't happen. Our entire process is designed to combat that. Cash flow recovery. To the ad before that, if you answered one of our lead ads, the cash flow recovery is designed to see if you're a right fit. Your conversation with our coaches after that is designed to see if you're a right fit. Our money back guarantee is designed to see if you're a right fit. Right? We're interviewing each other. This is a two-way relationship. We're making a decision for years. You're making a decision for now. If we're asking you to become a member, we see a relationship for years. Right? We've played 100 games of chess and know every move in those 100 games of chess when we ask you to become a member. You're figuring out, should I make this one move? That's a different game both of us are playing, right? But we've addressed that in our process because of we've been burned too. That's life. Get over it.
There's so many things I want to comment on that you just said. One, it reminds me of two different recent members who they are getting inundated, and a few of them are like, well, I have more meetings next week and we're going to make the decision in a few weeks. And multiple of these people have had a lot of meetings and they've come back and they've chosen us, and they tell us, it's because of your content. It's because you're a one-stop shop. And another guy who is a member, he said, I just felt like every time I talked to my financial advisor, like the only time I talked to him was when he sensed that he could sell me a product, and then he was all over me. And so like this nickel and diming that people, will have onboarding calls with members and they'll be like, well, does that cost extra? Or we're like, no, it's all inclusive. Bob has solved this pain. And Bob, you said on our leadership call this week, like this has been your vision for years of serving doctors, having a membership model, and you've gone through these evolutions. And I don't think it should be overlooked when you say, I never wanted to work with a marketing agency again, because it was like, I was burned, I failed, I was burned. But now we found someone who we trust, who is doing such an amazing job. And because of that, Terra Firma is exploding and thriving, and we're able to serve so many people. It's like if we had just given up because we'd been burned, we wouldn't be where we are here today.
That is such a poignant example. When you said that, Bob, I was saying, because my previous company, before I sold it, we had invested, I think it was just over one quarter, $47,000 in paid media. And I think we had one like technically like good lead that closed into something. Did not pay for that whole journey. You've invested tens of thousands of dollars in that. If we had gone after that, what our learned experience was, and by the way, the people who were serving me on that one, they were great people. There was nothing wrong with them. The experience yielded not what we wanted. So if we had carried that in, we would have carried that negativity into this new relationship. And Mike and Sophia have been unbelievably powerful in their impact in our world. And so we didn't carry that negative in. We carried everything that we could. We set up time to fly out to Dallas and record with the three of us for a few days. Like we took all the necessary steps in order to succeed, even though our learned experience was this is going to end in failure. So just don't carry those negative things in, like bring everything in, to that next thing.
And in this process, if to be completely transparent and honest, I'm wondering if those tens of thousands of dollars I invested was not their fault. It was mine. Because my messaging was wrong. My business model was wrong. It was I that was wrong. Or can we reflect on the self and improve the self to create a different outcome? We can blame other people all day long to create that fear and that hurt, but was it really me? To your point that you said, what was it? Self-fulfilling
prophecy.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy. Thank you. But when we actually sat down, to your point, when you guys came to Dallas and we spent that time, our messaging was spot on. To the point, Aaron, where you have said multiple times, we have doctors that say, I felt like you were talking right to me.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah. So true.
Perfect messaging. So at the end of the day, who are we to blame? Ourselves. And are we confident enough to make that decision and then make that next decision to move in the right pathway to go to a more positive, productive step? We eat our own cooking.
And life is really about, it is not how many times you get knocked down. It is how many times you get back up. You know what you want, so it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else.
It's so true. It's like people get paralyzed by staying down and they just eventually stop trying to get up. It's like, no, you still have a place to get to.
Yeah.
Be willing to get back up.
Yeah. Well, in from a faith perspective, I mean, how many people around us have we heard them blame, well, why does God allow this? Well, is it him or is it the devil? Right? Maybe we want to blame who desires love most. This is why in relationships, a lot of times we have, our spouse relationships, we're butting heads because they're the ones you love the most and they love you the most. And it starts creating this friction, right? And so I the same thing with our business transactions. Right. And so thank you, Aaron, for mentioning that, we solved this issue, but it goes back to the point that we said in previous episodes is that each moment is a learning experience that our clients, people give us and ask questions and feedback. All these episodes are because of conversations we have with physicians. We can't think of every topic and everything to talk about. That's ridiculous. Right? You have a question, ask it. We'll do an episode on it. We'll spend 20 minutes answering that question.
Well, I think that's for any doctors who are listening to this episode, and you're listening to this episode because you're doing research on us. Good for you for doing that research. And then my next immediate point of advice is you got to make a decision. And what we ask when you come into our world, it's an all or nothing. Like, we're not looking for people who are halfway committed to their success. We're all in and committed to you. You've got to be all in. It's all or nothing. And so do the research that you've got to do and then commit fully to what you're going to do. But don't just lay in the ground wallowing in your suffering and your previous bad decisions. Get back up, make a good decision, realize that your past decisions don't define who you are. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that. They just feel like, I've made terrible decisions up to this point. And honestly, that's where like a lot of shame and guilt come in. It's like, I feel, and we see this from doctors a lot. They feel like they should be further ahead than they are. I make a really good living. Why don't I have more saved up? Like, they start asking really interesting questions that are surrounding shame. Move out of that. Like, it's just time to move beyond that. You're here today and able to make a decision. So do it. Move forward in a decision that you feel comfortable with, and give people trust. If it's terra firma, give us some trust and allow us to earn it further. Then you give more trust and we earn it further. So that's the process of trust. How do you get up and move forward when you've burned before? Give a little trust and allow them to earn it.
Good stuff. Thank you both. I loved this conversation. Okay. Thank you, Doc, for joining us. We hope you found value in this episode. You can find us on our website, on LinkedIn. If you haven't had your cash flow recovery conversation with us, click
the link below.
Click the link below. It's very valuable to find out what you're overpaying, how we could be helping you. Taxes is only the tip of the iceberg, and we would love to work with you. So thank you for joining us. And until next time, go be a wealth map.